y'all. Cecile here. Welcome to Playing with Possibilities. I am here with my friends and colleagues, Ade and Christine. I'm going to let them introduce myself. Let them introduce themselves.
Monday.
Right,
We are one. We
we
are one.
that's
So
what
we
I
are.
say.
You
We
are
are one.
myself. We are myself. Yourself.
Right. Here on Playing with Possibilities, we talk about everything from self care to social justice, about being human to being spiritual, about how the things that we do um, create our own reality and how we can create a reality collectively. My name is Cecile Armstrong. I'm a self care and social justice facilitator. I'm also a Black woman. I am the founder of Inspired by Indigo, an online membership and community where I guide folks to let go of blame, shame, and guilt so we can make anti racism a habit. It's all about undoing the things that we've learned about race and privilege and equality so that we can make it a habit to transform oppression and create a better world. And now I will turn it over to my colleagues so they can introduce themselves or ourselves
Oh, myself.
or
Self.
myself.
I guess I go next. I'm
Mhm.
Ade Anifowose. I am a spiritual healer and teacher and a mindset coach. My work really is about having us, if you will, reimagine love. Think of matured love as we seek to understand that life is always bringing us, our life is always bringing us the tools, and really just helping people move from being fragmented to live from a place of wholeness. And my program that I use is representing our ancestors, representing our stories. Because when you represent your ancestors, you represent how you see your life. That's me.
Mm. Good morning, friends. My name is Christine Gautreaux. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a white social justice advocate and dancing social worker who the through line of my work is self care in order to sustain and thrive in community care. So, how do we do this? How do we listen to our body wisdoms? How do we show up for ourselves so we can show up for the world and make a difference every day? And I am also the co-host of a Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. And so one of my favorite things to do is connect people. And so ourselves to ourselves to ourselves and connect each other. Woo,
And
it's
to
Monday,
myself.
y'all.
Don't forget myself. You got to connect to myself.
Myself.
Right? Connect to ourselves. And I apologies in advance. I'm traveling today and left my travel microphone. So I am actually on my phone today, but delighted to be with y'all. I am streaming in live today from Desert Hot Springs, California, where I had an event
Awesome.
last night. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We can hear you just fine. So
Okay,
that's
great.
great. Okay. Okay, so we talked about our topic for today was going to be body wisdom and listening to our bodies. And so, to get ready for that, I think we should take a deep breath. What do y'all think?
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right. So, if you're watching live or on the replay, I am inviting you now to sit up straight so that you give your tummy room to expand. Have your head over your shoulders, shoulders over your hips. Notice where your shoulders are. If they are up around your ears, let them drop down. Pay attention to places around your body like your jaw. Notice where you're holding your tension and wiggle it out. And relax your tummy. If you need to, put your hands on your belly so you can feel it expand and contract. And then I invite you to take a deep belly breath. And then exhale at your own pace. And then once more, let's do a big inhale, letting your belly expand. And then again at your own pace, go ahead and exhale. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Mm.
And I want you to take a second and just notice how you feel in your body right now after doing those two deep inhales. I felt myself just settle. So I don't know about y'all, but that's what I felt. I felt myself just like settle down into my core.
Well, my body's like, yes, we got his attention. Now let's go lay down.
Ah,
I'm like, no, not right now. Now it sounds like a contradiction. Because
right?
right now I can go lay down. Oh my God.
Okay, well, we are talking about listening to your body, so maybe once this is over, you need to take a nap.
I would like to, but I got another meeting right after that.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, maybe we can talk about how we listen to our bodies even when we have things stacked back to back. That could be good
I
Yes.
too.
think that's a great thing to talk about, especially because
Mhm.
that's the world a lot of us live in as
Yes.
Yes.
entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and people who are
Mhm.
working. It's a real thing.
Mhm. Yeah, and I want to point out that body wisdom and knowing how you feel in your body, isn't that one of the 8 dimensions of wellness? And
Physical
that is
wellness. Yep.
yes, and that is something that Christine and her partner Shannon talk about. They talk about the 8 dimensions of wellness every Wednesday on the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. And so, if you do you have a definition of physical wellness that we can use as we get into this talk about body wisdom?
Well, I do, but I don't have it memorized. So I couldn't. But what I could do is talk about, and I don't even know that you know this piece. So interplay, both Ade and I are certified interplay leaders, and
Mhm.
interplays the main name of the interplay business is Body Wisdom Inc.
You
Right,
know what?
right.
I did know that, and I just hadn't thought about it
And
this morning, but I
so,
did know
and
that.
I think, Addie and I can do a definition off the cuff here. But when I think about body wisdom and physical wellness, I think about noticing from our body. And we also talk about
Mhm.
that in the book Still Point, right? About
Mhm.
what is self care and what is self healing. Well, you have to start at being present and being in your body and
Mhm.
noticing.
Mhm.
Noticing the signals because our body gives us signals. They always say hindsight's 2020, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of people I know have had crashes, whether they're autoimmune, whether it's a disease, like they've had a
Mhm.
crash. And when they look back, the signals were there
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
just weren't paying attention or hearing it. So I have a story to share. You want me to share my story from last week, Cecile,
Sure.
about the internet?
Mhm.
So y'all, let me tell you. Can I tell you?
Y'all, let me
So
tell
a
Y'all.
week ago Wednesday, I was getting ready to go live for a national meeting. 30 minutes before this national meeting that I'm co-leading, and my entire internet goes down. Right? Brand
Mhm.
new, 5G, fiber, won't say the company, but it goes down. So, needless to say, my stress levels were a little off the charts. And
Well,
so
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
taking some deep breaths. I was shaking out, not shaking like nerves, but just like trying to get it done.
Mhm.
Ended up doing that class from my phone. Wasn't ideal, but it happened. Well, then the internet stays out for 4 days. And, for those of us that are working from home, that run our own businesses, that like, this is right. That is his body's like giving him, like, right. I can
you.
feel it.
Well, I was
Well,
there. We were supposed to work, and I was twitching. So.
right. And so I think, Addie, you were the one that texted Cecile and said, I bet Christine's twitching by now. But
Yes.
literally, y'all, literally by day 4, my left eye was twitching. And this is one of my, it's funny and it's not funny, right? But it's one of those signals that my body gives me that something's about to go horribly wrong, that I'm holding too much stress in my body.
Mhm.
And it is literally, and everybody has different signals, but
Mhm.
I had this happen before a major autoimmune crash years ago. My left eye was twitching and I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention. I just kept adding on and piling on and, oh, I can handle this. I can handle this. And I didn't
Mhm.
address it until I had to address it because my body said, stop,
Mhm.
stop. Like, and our bodies will do that, right?
Mhm.
So this time when my eye started twitching, I was like, all right, I see you. And you're holding more of this stress than you think you are. So let's
Mhm.
unpack this. Let's
Mhm.
really name it. Let's get out, do my practices, things like getting outside, things that restore me.
Mhm.
And also, we talk about in Still Point sorting and separating, like what is
Mhm.
ours and what is not. I couldn't fix that internet. I'm waiting on a technician. I'm waiting on.
Mhm.
So holding the stress about it in my body was only hurting me.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah, when we went for a walk, both of us noticed. We were both thinking, okay, well, we're okay with it. We know when they're coming. We're going to be fine with it. But then when we went for a walk, both of us was like, oh, I didn't realize how tight my body was.
Right? Right?
Mm.
And it's real. And I just want to name that as somebody who's been doing this work for years, right? And it can
Mhm.
still sneak up on us, especially
Mhm.
in really stressful situations. And life can be stressful, whether it's technology, whether it's grief and loss over a death of somebody in our family, or like things happen that stress is going to come. I mean,
Mhm.
unless you're living on a mountain by yourself and having people bring you food, that's what,
I bet you
really,
somebody would find a way to be stressed then too.
right?
Right. I
And
need people.
we're going to have to learn. And so listening to our body signals brings the health and wellness, right? That
Mhm.
when you hear the signal, or you know
You
what
know
your
how your
body
body
needs,
responds.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
and you also know what your body needs for wellness. Like I
Yes.
think about, like, okay, let me ask y'all this question. Honestly, how many hours of sleep do you, I know, look at it. How many hours of sleep? Look at
Oh,
Adia.
we took
How
off
many
into
hours
the
of sleep
phones.
does your body want a night? Mine is 7.5. Like if I get 7.5 hours of sleep, my
Mhm.
body is happy. What
I
about
Yeah,
you,
can
Cecile?
I need 8 when I'm feeling good. If I'm not feeling good, if I'm overwhelmed, if I'm having an autoimmune flare or something like that, I need more.
Right?
Mhm.
I'm about a 7.5 at least, 7 to 7 and 8. Now, how much do I actually take? That's a whole different conversation,
Mr.
which is
staying up till early morning and then still
Cecile
sending
was sending me a
messages.
message at 2 o'clock my time or 3 o'clock. What are you still doing up? I'm like, I'm going to bed real soon. It's 4:30.
Right.
I'm still up.
Right. That's what I know.
Because you're
I'm
running
not.
on two time zones, and
Mhm.
but
Yes.
yeah, and that can only
Yeah.
last for so long, right? Before our
Mhm.
But
bodies are like, you got to get
yes.
horizontal.
But you
Mhm.
know what is interesting is, oh my God, so much. When Cecile told me about body wisdom, first I was excited. I was like, oh gosh, you know. I was like, ooh, do I feel qualified? I mean, I feel qualified to talk about it, but should I? Because I'm going to out myself. Yeah, I usually like. I think last night I went to bed around a little after 3, woke up around 9, so I got about 6 hours, maybe
Mhm.
a little. And the day before was probably about 4 to 5 hours, because Saturday night is date night, and I didn't go to bed till about 6:30 and woke up around 10 or something like that. But the last 2 3 weeks my body has just been not even. I joke. I say I took a nap. No, my body's been. It's taking me. The nap has been taking me. I have been
Mhm.
taking naps more than usual. I've been feeling tired. Now, rather than embrace them, like, oh my God, why am I so sleepy? What's wrong? Was it a health issue? I mean, I just been worrying myself about my body trying to balance itself, even though I've been staying late for many, many, many years. And
Mhm.
I'm really just at a place now where I'm saying, okay, your body is doing you a favor because you
Mhm.
won't get to bed early. And it's
Mhm.
trying to balance itself. So I sort of relax into it because the body knows. The body. This is a physical representation of memory.
Mhm.
There's a reason why they say your health is your wealth. You know, because when the body's out of sync, everything is out of sync.
Yeah.
Everything. If
Mhm.
somebody's saying, "Well, I can't sleep, I can't rest because I got so much work to do, I got deadlines." After a while, when your deadline becomes you dying, a few days later, somebody else is taking that job and moving it forward.
You
And
know?
it's hard to juggle it. But
Mhm.
sometimes we live in society where we either you got to keep going and maybe you can squeeze in some rest during the weekend and it's just Monday, or
Mhm.
take some medication. And
Mhm.
we've got to a place now. I feel like many of us feel like we're being lazy when we take a nap. We're not being strong enough. We're not,
Mhm.
so we judge ourselves when the body's saying, I need you to just rest so we can function effectively more in this lifetime, you
Mhm.
know. And I'll put myself. I don't have issues. When you had us take the breath, I joked about it that my body went to go sleep. I have been repressing yawn. because my body really just like, and I'm like, I don't want to be going. But I just told y'all.
Mhm.
But it's I'm just, and thankfully I have the space to be able to take the nap. I know some people
Mhm.
don't. They may have
Right.
children, have to be at work, and you can't sleep while you're at work. But we just got to find a way that works for us.
Mhm.
Your
Mhm.
health is your wealth.
I have worked myself sick at several jobs and then
Mm,
had to fight my way back to,
mm,
some kind of health, and not and then had coworkers say, "Why are you just agreeing to everything they're asking you to do? Because if you quit or if you die, they're just going to hire somebody else. So why are you doing this?" And then I was
mm.
like, "Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right." And then having to renegotiate the way I show up, at my job. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
I think clearing that story too, Cecile, that we only get to stop or rest when we're sick. Like
Mhm.
that's a very common story
Mhm.
in our white dominant culture. Like it
Mhm.
is like you get to stop when you are. I mean, there's even like a song about it or quotes about it. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
I can't stand
that's gonna speed it up, right?
Mhm.
That's the thing,
it.
and
Right.
it's
Like
like
that.
that we are allowed to rest
Yes.
before we're sick,
Mhm.
before we crash and burn,
Yes.
Mhm.
before and to sustain. This is the part that I
Mm,
talk about folks with. We have to set some things down. Doesn't mean you don't pick them back up, but
Right.
we have to rest and set them down in order to be able to sustain and still be here and
Mhm.
still work. Because a lot of times I'm working with caregivers or activists, and their lifespan is shortened by 10 to
whew,
15 years, especially if they're
Mhm.
Black women,
Mhm.
because they're doing so much for other people in the community. They're not taking good care of themselves,
Mhm.
and they die. And I mean, and I
Mhm.
don't mean to be dramatic about it, but
no,
I've
it's
lost
true.
No, that's the truth.
really good friends, and
Mm,
whether it was to health crises or mental health crises, which are one
Mhm.
and the same, but a lot of
Mhm.
times, our culture doesn't like to talk about that, but
Right.
it is it is a life and death situation.
Mhm.
Rest is, and
Mhm.
it's not about being lazy. It is about
It's
how
about
do we,
sustainability.
right? It
It's
is the
about sustaining
sustainability.
yourself in addition
yes.
to whatever the work is that you do. When I was saying that I worked myself sick, the jobs that I've had, I have been like super passionate about and have been very demanding. And I've had bosses who did not understand body wisdom, who did not, um, who didn't really support their staff. And when I'm saying I worked myself sick, I had chronic illnesses. And then when the companies moved from having sick time and vacation time and just lumped it all into PTO, I had years where I couldn't take a vacation because every time I took time off, it was because I had a flare. It was because I was sick. And I never got to take time off just to have fun. And that's part of what informed my first step process when I'm teaching anti-racism. That's why I included step number 4 about rest and celebration, because I know what happens when you don't rest and when you don't look at your progress to see that you've done something. You end up feeling overwhelmed, not able to think straight, and feeling like you haven't done enough. And I've lived that, which is why I built that in, because I know if you don't have that peace, you lose sight of it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. I mean, it's just there's so many things rushing through my mind right now around just rest, relaxation, taking a nap, and I wonder what it would be like here in UK, in America, if more people rested.
Yeah.
um, I think the healthcare industry would have to come up with something else.
Hmm.
It's like, and
Hmm.
and even doctors, when we go to when people go to the doctor
Hmm.
and they say, "What should I do?" Well, take one of these and rest.
Hmm.
And in a week, they encourage you. I mean, rest is the way that the body reprograms itself so we
Hmm.
can de-stress and be more
Hmm.
resilient and be
Hmm.
more creative. The same
Hmm.
things that people will hire people like us to help us to be more productive and more creative. Can you imagine if we go to a conference and we pay this so much money and all you got to do is rest? And we spend more time talking
We have
about
to teach
rest.
people how to do it. But then we got to teach people how to do it, because people will say, "Oh, I'm going to rest," and then what they do is sit down
Yeah.
and like, "Oh, I'm going to sit my body
Yeah.
down, but then I'm still going
Yeah.
to listen to an audiobook and try to learn something in this time. Or,
Right.
I'm going to
Yes.
rest, but I'm doing it with this goal,
Yes.
okay, I'm going to rest my
Yes.
body and then this is going to happen. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
setting goals and you're still like planning how your rest
Yeah.
is going to go, instead of just letting your body do what it needs to do, just letting your mind wander and do what it needs to do, instead of doing something meditative or even doing something creative without having an end goal so that your mind can wander and do it. When you're doing that kind of thing, you're still not like resting. You're still not giving your
Yes.
mind and your body a space to just breathe and be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that from experience. I did that for a long, long time. So I'm not downing anybody. I'm saying I know because I did this.
Right. I think it's so common, Cecile. I think it's common in this culture that we live in about we have to produce, 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 produce,
Hmm.
produce, and
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 tying your value to what you
to what you
produce.
produce,
Yep.
right? And
Hmm.
separating that out. But I want to add in about teaching people how to do it. And this is such a simple technique, and it sounds silly, but y'all, you have to schedule it. Like, schedule it. If you're
Hmm.
having trouble going to bed early, put a timer in your phone that says go to bed,
Hmm.
um, or start to wind down,
Hmm.
and schedule it. And there's different types of rest and relaxation, right?
Hmm.
There are times that just what you're talking about, Cecile, where you just rest and you sit and you let it go. And then there's stuffs that are restorative, like going on a hike
Hmm.
and being out in nature or being by the water, or and I
Whew, by the
firmly
water.
believe, right? I firmly believe that you got to know yourself well enough to know
Indeed.
what do you
Hmm.
need and how do you need it, and
Right.
schedule that, right?
Hmm.
Because I realized this last year I was out of balance with like camping, and I love to camp, like, and there's scientific studies that say if your rhythm's out with sleeping and things like that, if you go to the woods for 3 days and disconnect from your phone and disconnect from
Yes.
your computer, which
Hmm.
everybody listening to us now on that, I know that's hard. Take a deep breath. It's okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
Whew. Yeah, and
Hmm.
but
Yes.
resetting. So what works for us to reset?
Hmm.
What works? And if you're feeling anxiety, even at the thought, like you get that feeling of I can't do that. I got too much to do. That's the time. And it's
Hmm.
not intuitive, but it's very counterintuitive. That's the time you need it even more. What's that
Hmm.
Exactly.
famous quote about if you're too busy to meditate for 30 minutes, meditate for 2 hours or something like
Right.
Mhm.
that?
Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. It's so true what you said
But
about
it's
nature.
true.
I can
Hmm.
testify to because in the last few days now, I've been spending more time in nature, not just going in nature, actually grounding, putting my feet on the ground. And like Sunday, like I said, I had like 4 hours sleep, and it's not like, oh, I had 4 hours sleep and I went all day. But I remembered that, well, later that evening, I'm like, wow, I thought I was going to, because I knew that, oh, I'm going to be taking a nap this afternoon. It's going to catch me.
Hmm.
But I remembered I went to the forest near here, and I grounded myself. I meditated there,
Hmm.
and I was rejuvenated.
Yes.
I didn't feel tired. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to go to bed 4 hours every night because I know I need more than that.
Hmm.
And but I
Crispy leaning
noticed.
in on that one.
You looking at me? I know I need more for my own well-being and for the work. I mean, working with people, it's this kind of work that we do. It takes a lot. If we could do a 1 hour session, and we could feel like we've done 9 to 5
Hmm.
because it's intuitive, it's a heart, it's emotion, helping people
Hmm.
tap in on a deep level.
Hmm.
Um, I want to say something about scheduling rest, and I tried so hard not to laugh. I think I did well. So in September, when my fiance came over, I had an alarm that goes off at 10 p.m. to remind me that 12 o'clock a.m. midnight is bedtime. And so the first time she saw it, she said, "Wait, you schedule an alarm to go to bed at midnight, and yet you still go to bed at 2 or 3 o'clock? What's the point?" But something that has helped me really is her always saying, "Baby, go to bed." Just her saying it, and there's something about the way she says it that makes me feel like she's right. I mean, I know it, but for me to have somebody else just remind me, it's
Hmm.
almost like having somebody else reminds me bypass my thoughts of, yeah, I know I got to quickly do this. It just we gotta have,
Mhm.
I guess, if you will, an accountability partner when it comes to rest.
Yes. Yes.
And
We
our
have an
self-care.
accountability partner for everything else. So why not for rest?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
for our self-care and for, because I think both of y'all said it earlier, like if we don't have our health and we don't have our wellness, like we can't have our businesses or our
Hmm.
jobs to our, and so yes to having an accountability buddy, and I think we've talked about it on here before. We talk about partnership power, right?
Hmm.
And you don't want it to be another chore or something like that. It can be celebratory. Like
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cecile and I do a good job of sharing how many steps we do each day,
Yep.
right? And we're like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe how many steps I got. And we don't shame each other when we don't reach it, but we
Right.
also know each other well enough to know, like, hey, if we're having a tough day, like, hey, when was the last time you got outside to walk, right?
Hmm.
Like, or
Hmm.
when was, and here's the other thing I want to speak to on that too, y'all. Have a lot of tools in your toolbox, because
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
things don't work. Like
Hmm.
sometimes the weather doesn't cooperate or your
Hmm.
schedule. So
I
have
was gonna
tools in
say
your
the same thing.
toolbox that
Hmm.
are from 1 minute, like these deep belly breaths that Cecile teaches
Mm-hmm.
us every week,
Hmm.
to, oh wow, I've got 4 hours. I can go take a hike next to a waterfall in the woods and
Hmm.
really, but
Mm-hmm.
have that to where you can, and what works and what doesn't work, whether it can
Right.
be by
Yeah.
yourself or with other people. Yeah.
Mhm. One of the things that I talked about, I think this past unit and inspired by Indigo and the self-care piece, I had participants creating self-care resources. Figuring out what music works for you to calm you down when you need to be calm, lift you up
Yes.
when you need to get lifted up. What places work for you? Where do you feel your best? Like I'll tell you, y'all know, I think y'all know, I feel best by the water. If I can get my feet in the water, I can get grounded even when I feel like I'm all over the place. I talked about what kind of objects make you feel better. I have a weighted blanket, especially during this time of COVID when I can't hug my friends, I can't be around people as much as I want to be. I go grab that weighted blanket. And so there's like a whole list of things that we went through in this unit. And one of the things that I talked about is everything isn't going to work every time. Sometimes you're going to be like, I'm grabbing this weighted blanket, but it's not giving me what I need. Maybe what you
Right.
really need at the time is music, or maybe what you really need is to get out of the house and go find that water or put your feet in the grass. And so having a whole range of tools, gives you different ways to listen to your body and respond to what your body needs, because it's not always going to be the same. And it
Not
changes
always.
over time. You know, maybe
Exactly.
this weighted blanket is working for me now, but maybe 2 years from now, I'm going to grab it and it's just not going to be enough. I need to find something else.
Um, uh, I'm not. I am not. Laughter is a good. Laugh. I'm not. Laughter is, laughter is another way to rest. But the point I was going to say, what I was going to say before a thought distracted me, is even a
Uh-huh.
5 minute meditation. Cecile knows me well. five
Yes.
minute meditation to just sit and breathe. And I think when it
Mhm.
comes to, I know when it comes to rest and honoring one's body, it's important to become childlike, to take on that childlike nature.
Mhm.
And sometimes we think because we're not doing something, oh, I don't rest. And Cecile, Christine, and I, they're talking about rest. I need to do more of it. Oh, maybe I can do 30-minute nap. Sometimes it could be just a 5 minute to just sit down and do nothing. Just sit.
Mhm.
Even if you need to put music on and say, well, but Cecile said, don't you? No, well, that's far better than what was happening before.
Mhm.
And then maybe next time be 5 minutes without the music.
Mhm.
Maybe it's 15 minutes. It's really plain. Be playful. Be easy.
Mhm.
Interplay, we say easy focus. Don't make rest be like, oh my God, what am I going to do to rest? You might as well give it up.
I think the other thing to name here, too, folks, for people who are listening who may be saying, I don't know what my body wants, or when they sit down to rest and they get really anxious, right?
Mhm.
So I think the first thing is just naming it. We have a practice in interplay where we notice, and it's like you really just take a deep breath. And in fact, will y'all play with me, Cecile, and that ain't
Mhm.
where we just take a moment and we notice, like close your eyes and take a deep breath, and then just name what's going on in your body right now. So like I'm noticing some tightness in my left shoulder.
Mhm.
I'm noticing my feet are a little bit chilly, but my heart area is really warm. What are y'all noticing?
I'm noticing that I'm tempted to tell the people in the next meeting that I ain't coming. I like for real. I literally feel my body like, please let's go lay down.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's what I noticed. It just is my feel my body just wants to be still,
Mhm.
just relax.
Mhm. I'm
What do you
noticing tension across my shoulders that I wasn't paying attention to before. And I'm
Mm,
also noticing that even though I woke up this morning with a ton of energy, that it's kind of like dipping down right now. So, the things that I was going to push through
mm,
this afternoon, I'm thinking I might rearrange those.
right?
Yeah.
Well, another practice I do often is, when you take that deep breath and you notice, you can put one hand on a spot in your body that
Oh,
feels
I
really
like this.
good. Like,
Mhm.
find a spot in your body that feels really good today.
Mhm.
mm,
And just take a few deep breaths into that place of wellness.
mm, yeah.
And with your other hand, find a spot in your body that may not feel as great. It may be crunchy, it may be hurting, it may be that
Mm,
tension in the shoulders because you're at your computer too long. And just
Mhm.
breathe between those two places, between that place of wellness and the place that needs extra support.
I always love this exercise.
mm,
Right? And then come back to neutral and just shake that energy out of your hands. Right?
Mhm.
And that simple practice of just touching base with your, and y'all, it is a practice. Like
that's right.
Mhm.
you come back to it. If you're like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, right? Oh, something's
Mhm.
going on and I don't know what's going on. Take a deep breath and just literally name, if you can, name it out loud. But if not, just name it to yourself. What's going on in my body in this
Mm,
moment? And try
Mhm.
not to attach labels to it. Like, oh my,
Right.
because sometimes when something's hurting, you're like, oh my gosh, like I got this horrible disease, or I've got that. Try not to do any of that. Just name what you're feeling in your body, so your
mhm,
Mhm.
body knows you're listening to it.
mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
I've talked a lot, so I'm going to be quiet now.
Okay. Well, I was gonna follow that up with, um, piggybacking on what, Dave was saying about being okay with a little bit. I know, like, when people are learning how to meditate and they say, 20 minutes is like the magic spot, that's when you get all the benefits, at 20 minutes, that's when you see all these different changes in your life. And I know when I first started learning how to meditate and I kept seeing that everywhere, and I was like, but I can only sit still for 5 minutes and then I'm fidgety. And I was thinking, well, am I wasting my time? And then when I finally got to that 20-minute spot, I was like, oh, everything that I did before, made it so I can do this. And now I can meditate. Some days I can meditate for an hour, and still some days I can only do 5 minutes. And what I have figured out, over the years of doing this is that 5 minutes is enough sometimes. And sometimes if I'm just fidgety and it doesn't feel like it's enough, it's still better than nothing. And so,
Mhm,
not having that all or nothing thinking, or it's got to be perfect, or I've got to know the right way to rest, or the right way to meditate, or to be in nature and all that kind of stuff, understanding that there is no right way. There just
mhm,
is what is and what your body and your mind allows. And knowing that as long as you're doing something, as long as you're paying attention to your body and you're giving it something, that's better than nothing. And it's going to vary from day
mhm,
to day, from moment to moment.
mhm. And if there's anybody saying, yeah, I like what they said, but I just don't have the time, what I would say is, I'm sure they have some kind of mobile device. Don't charge it for the next 2, 3 days and see what happens.
Mhm.
What'd you say, Christine?
Yep, Christine, we don't hear you.
You're muted. Well, actually, you're not muted, but we can't. Okay, try it. Okay, say something. No, we can't
I
hear you.
don't hear you, but I get it. Your internet went out, so
See,
I
that's
know.
what happens when you don't rest. Not you. Oh gosh,
Oh, wow.
when we don't rest, the world won't hear us. That's part of the
Right.
demonstration. Yeah,
Right.
go
Yeah.
2, 3 days without charging your mobile device and see what
Mhm.
happens.
Yep.
That's what you're doing to your body.
Right. And sometimes If you don't do it for yourself, your body and circumstances will make it happen for you. I
Just
mean, I've
shut
had
it down.
plenty of times where my body has just shut down. I have crashed,
Mm,
and I don't ever want to get to that point again. I would much rather notice what's happening with my body and then be
hmm
able to decide how I want to be instead of having my
Yes.
body crash and then having to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, when the body does, it's not pretty.
No, it's not. Oh, no, it is not.
I had my experience in January, and I'm like, I'm never sick. Why am I here? I was getting worried, all this, but I noticed a difference. Like I was in
Mhm.
bed for like 3 days. Like, actually Thursday night when it started. Sunday I was still kind of there, but by Tuesday, Wednesday, I felt different.
Mhm.
I used to have constant headache. That went,
Mhm.
and
Because your
I
body
mean,
didn't
it's really
reset, right?
yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And sometimes that's what it takes. If you don't pay attention and do the gradual resets, then your body is gonna do a major one for you because you won't stop.
Right.
I would much rather
Right.
do the gradual resets on my own
Mm,
terms. I'm
that's
just
it.
saying.
That's
But,
it. Yep.
I don't know what happened with Christine, but I know that we're coming close to the end of our time. So
Hmm.
thank you, my brother, as always, for joining me. I love
Yeah,
you.
always.
I'm glad that
I
you're
love you
here.
too.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Here's Christine.
Addie said
Great.
disconnect, and my computer and my phone went, all right, I'm in.
Your
Okay.
computer said, "Thank you. Somebody named it."
She named it, it happened. Well, that's, a lesson on we have to be careful what we speak out, right?
Okay.
Right. Right. Well, we were just about to wind down. I was thinking a day I want to thank you. As always, I love doing this together with y'all. This is so much better, I think, than me just doing this by myself. I love having this discussion with y'all. I love the ideas that you bring. I love the energy that you bring, and I'm just grateful that you show up with me every Monday.
Mm. Yeah, thank you for having
Partnership
us.
power.
That's
Yep,
right. Together we're stronger. That's
that's
right.
right. All right. So,
Mm.
what do you guys got going on this week for anybody who's watching and wants to know how to get up with y'all later on?
Podcast tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about the importance of rituals to
Mm.
honor oneself, to assist in the healing process. Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, I am hosting Representing Your Ancestors in collaboration with letsreimagine.org.
Nice.
To find out more is bit.ly, your ancestors. That's bit.ly, your ancestors. Join me and let's grow together and heal together.
Woo, that sounds
Yeah,
Mhm.
so good,
it
Eddie.
Yes.
does.
I've got three things happening this week. Tomorrow morning, Radical Self and Community Care, which happens every week. You can find it in the LinkedIn, not the LinkedIn, the
Mhm.
excuse me, link tree that Sissy will post. I've got Women Connected in Wisdom. We go live at 5 Eastern Time. And then on Sunday, I'll actually be doing another live event, in-person event in Asheville, North Carolina at 6:30 p.m. at the YWCA. We're doing a radical self and community care. So I need to update my link tree, but I'll have the info in there. So y'all can come out and join us. It'll be fun.
Mhm.
Thanks for that
Peace and
question,
blessings.
Cecile.
Yes, indeed.
What
Thank
do
you,
you
thank you,
have
thank
going
you.
on this week, my friend?
Right. What you got
What's
going
going on
on?
over at the Inspired by Indigo community?
Right, and inspired by Indigo community. I think this is the fourth week of the month, so this is our week to rest and celebrate. So we are celebrating the progress we made this month, talking about colorism and talking about creating our self-care kits, and we are taking the time to rest. So that's what we're
Oh,
doing, and I'll also have a blog. I post my blog
mm,
every Wednesday, and so if you come over to cecilearmstrong.com/blog, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't know just yet. But it'll be up on Wednesday.
Well, and you also post that directly to LinkedIn, so folks could just click on
Yes.
it there
right.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yes. Yep. Awesome.
Friends,
Thank you,
always a
thank you, thank you.
delight. Thank you for the
Yes,
reminders and take good care of yourselves. I need you
yes,
in the
indeed.
world.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Love you,
Everybody,
Christine. Love
stop
you,
and just
Cecile.
take a breath, y'all. Stop and just breathe.
Hmm.
All right. We will see y'all next Monday. Fierce love to
Looking forward to
everybody.
it.
Peace
Fierce
and
love.
blessings. Mhm.